Welcome to On the Chain.
This Stu Alderati is fantastic. So I saw this and I had to read through it twice because I'm like, I didn't even think this was going to happen. But over 18 months, 6 court orders later, we finally have the Hinman docs, the internal SEC emails and drafts of his famous 2018 speech. So
infamous, not just famous, infamous.
Infamous. Not only that, but I mean, it's the emails, but it's also the drafts of the speech. So those drafts of the speech got sent around via email. And so while they remain confidential for now, at the SEC's insistence, I can say that it was well worth the fight to get them.
Now, Chip, what are in those documents? What are in those emails? What are in all of that, all these things that the SEC has spent the past 2 years trying to cover up and hide, which, man, think about if you knew, Chip, and we've talked about this before, but if you knew that all the facts were stacked against you, would you bring a case? Would you file a lawsuit? I mean,
let's face it. I mean, let's face it. There was a whistleblower for like 6 or 7 years that talked about Bernie Madoff. It was a Ponzi scheme, a whistleblower, and that's like it was maybe more than that. And the SEC is like, yeah, I don't know. We'll get to it at some point, right? So somebody else pointing it out until so many people got hurt. So they failed miserably on protecting those investors. So this is interesting. So he goes on to say that I've always felt good about our legal arguments, and I feel even better now. I've always felt bad about the SEC's tactics, and I feel even worse about them now. So if we break this down, Jeff, always felt good about the legal arguments, but he feels even better now. So like your mind starts racing, like what's in those speeches, draft speeches, what's in those emails? I mean, we can only speculate at this point. But this was, I thought, even for Stu, this is Stu jumping up and down on the top of a van, waving a giant flag, fist pumping. Like the van is driving down the road, and in one arm he's got the giant, flag of victory over here, and the other one he's fist pumping up in the air. Like that's Stu doing that, right? Because Stu's pretty like mellow. This for him, that's what I was like, whoa, this is Stu Alderati. Wow.
Man, no, those statements are pretty solid, just starting right off that last part. I feel even worse about them now, the SEC tactics, so obviously there's some corruption going on, there's some underhandedness.
So look at Brad Garlinghouse commented on Stu Alderati's tweet right here and said, the SEC wants you to think that it cares about disclosure, transparency, and clarity. Don't believe them. When the truth eventually comes out, the shamefulness of their behavior here will shock you. Now, Jeff, I want to ask you, what could possibly come out that would shock you?
At this point?
That's what I'm saying, right? That's where I'm at this point.
Man,
it would take a lot to shock me at this point because there's been so much
shamefulness of their behavior. Yeah. When the truth eventually comes out, the truth is coming out. The truth has been revealed. I mean, we already kind of have glimpses of the truth, which is really amazing. But they're still trying to hide it. Zero transparency, zero clarity. It's all about, well, there's an initiative and an agenda across the board. It's not just with the SEC. We're seeing that across the board at with a political hierarchy where they have zero desire for transparency. And it's not just unique here. We're seeing it in some other countries where they're, taking away people's freedoms. Our northern border neighbor, for instance, up in Canada, unfortunately, some crazy things have been happening over there. So does it shock us that these government agencies are not transparent and they're not willing to disclose, what they've been doing? So, but this is, Chip, there's like a spotlight on this.
So Elon Musk, who has his own dealings with the SEC, fought him for 6 or 7 years on one time. So Elon Musk responds, no way. So even Elon Musk is like, what? Seriously? No way. Elon Musk commenting on there. So almost like a no way, like, wow, some adulation there, a little bit of a victory because Elon Musk fought the SEC and he won. So there you go. And I think it was over like 6 or 7 years. Library said the SEC's mad at us for using a rocket ship emoji. You must have triggered the SEC pretty bad. So this is what the library is talking about. Library concluded the update with this prediction that the best is yet to come. Library punctuated the sentence with a rocket ship emoji. So they got like
What are you
angered by it.
reading? What is this?
This is the SEC. This is the SEC commenting. This is what the SEC said. They're mad at us for using a rocket ship emoji. And it says, and it's right there.
Seriously?
Library punctuated the sentence with a rocket ship. This is the clown show that the SEC has become.
Oh my God. Punctuating with a rocket ship. Like
They
now you
used a
can't use
rocket ship.
emojis.
They didn't even say
can't use
emoji, an
emojis.
icon.
An icon. Oh, an
icon.
icon. It's
That's how hip
it's
they are at
iconic.
the SEC. It's an icon.
Very iconic.
SpendTheBits filed its application to file an amicus brief. The application letter and proposed brief are below. Now, Jeff, the reason I love this so much is because SpendTheBits is really more akin on the consumer side to what Ripple is to the institutional side. Pursuant to your honor's individual practices and civil cases, SpendTheBits request to leave to file an amicus brief in support of the defendant Ripple Labs motion for summary judgment. SpendTheBits aware of other amici filings, although its proposed brief is not cumulative and the perspective is easily distinguishable from other amici because unlike TapJets, which accepts XRP as payment, and unlike iRemit, which is an ODL on-demand liquidity customer, SpendTheBits is a private company that created and built an application designed to use XRP, the XRP ledger, without Ripple's knowledge or consent to transfer Bitcoin.
Boom.
The SpendTheBits application has destroyed, absolutely put to shame the Lightning Network, which I think the way they do that peer-to-peer, that's a little bit questionable too. I even think the SEC might even have an issue with the way that works. It doesn't, it's not fast at all. This is lightning fast right here. You could almost call this lightning.
This is Chip, this is all telling. One of the things that the Bitcoin maxis and the SEC have ganged up on XRP and the XRPL, trying to make statement that there's no use case, right? This is everything that they've really been focused in on is no use case. So we have a 10-year period of the entire space developing. Now we have a lot of use cases out there that are building, or a lot of projects out there that have built that have zero use case, zero applicability, right? We have the blockchain, or we have the Bitcoin ledgers, and we've got Bitcoin, and you've got that whole process. But what is the true use case of Bitcoin? I don't think it's 100% recognized yet. It hasn't really been fully identified, although store of value seems to be one. Ethereum, what is the full use case of Ethereum, the asset? We know that within the Ethereum Foundation, we were talking about this earlier, that, but for, the ERC20 tokens, would Ethereum have really blossomed and gained the recognition that it gained? One of the things that they did out of the box was create a simplified mechanism to allow others to build on their platform, which was relatively smart because it got their name out there in the ERC20s and all these projects. So there's a lot of projects built on and utilizing the ERC20 and beyond. But the smart contracts of Ethereum, are they fully implemented yet? So if it was only emphasized and focused on just that, I don't know they would have gained the momentum. But now you have Bitcoin, Ethereum. Why are they undermining XRP, the XRPL? So now we've seen that, over time, we're starting to see development. We're seeing, companies built on and utilizing not just XRP, but the XRPL. And now we have 3 solid examples of it. Companies, the TapJets, iRemit, as you brought up, and SpendTheBits, and they're getting involved. And this is the time. And this is really amazing because it puts the SEC's commentary, it puts their attorneys, puts Gary Gensler, puts the Bitcoin maxis, it puts them all to shame and really shuts them down. Because it puts them on notice, because here you have an entire platform that's actually functioning. Look at this. They've got an Apple app. They've got a Google app. They've got the apps, and they're moving money. And it's, fully functioning, SpendTheBits. And there's going to be more. There's more companies out there that are using the XRPL, and things are just getting started. They're acting, Chip, like 10 years is is an infinity of time. We're talking about technology that's just in its infancy of development. It's almost entering toddler stage where it's learning how to walk. 10 years from
Almost.
now, this is a blip in history. And the SEC, again, they're looking like this is all of history. So this last 10 years, just a blip in money, right? So when we think about it from that perspective, and the SEC is 100% on the wrong side of history.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.